All right, today is our fifth and final day of this online speaker series, and we have the pleasure of hearing from Susan Woodford. Today, she is an artist. I actually have the pleasure of exhibiting her work in a current show that I am doing at the Urban Hive. If you're here in Sacramento, California, I invite you to attend the artist reception. It will be on March 23rd, which is a Saturday, from 6 to 9 p.m. So you can see one of her sculptures here in Sacramento. So she'll be speaking to us today as an artist, but also with a mind towards the business of art and supporting artists in that area. Susan, I look forward to hearing from you. I'll let you take it away.
Well, thank you. I am a metal sculptor. I primarily work out of my studio in Iowa, also in Sacramento with Thomas Ramey at his studio, and in North Carolina at Art Farm Mount Olive. So, one of the things, no matter where I'm at in the country or showing internationally, I've noticed is my patron base is 90% female. So not only am I a woman in the arts, but also and dealing with my glass ceilings there, that I feel we all are. 50 cents to 76 cents on the dollar for male counterparts in our industries, but also my patron base is dealing with their own glass ceiling. And so what I want to talk with you today about is clear communication, clear contracts, and how that helps enable us keep our costs low. As women, we know how vitally important that is. Our overhead knows no gender. Before I really get started, I'd like to go around, if that's okay, and ask people what your respective genre is and what kind of patron base you have. If you work primarily with galleries or one-on-one with your own patrons, if you primarily do public installations. Claire, could we start with you?
Sure, can't do camera right now, but I can talk.
Oh,
Wonderful.
good.
Hi, so my name is Claire Morgan Caswell. I am I make a living as a doll maker, and I am also a curator and intuitive artist, illustrator, and creativity coach. All of which has a slant towards the spiritual. I'm a shaman and an activator. So my patron base is for the dolls, it's a good 50-50. Often the men are buying for their women, I've noticed, but I do have male patrons. Otherwise, I primarily work with females as well, especially with my coaching and my intuitive art services. What other questions did you have, Susan? Did
Um,
that cover it?
that did really well. I do have some additional questions. Do you have, well, Claire, I would assume you're working with contracts with artists on your curation. But as far as your patron base, do you have design agreements or contracts with your sales?
No, not many. I have been working on partnership proposals and things of that sort with metaphysical stores that want to carry my dolls. But being the sole maker, wholesale is a mountain I haven't climbed yet. So yes and no. I'm working towards that. I do commission. Those commissions have parameters and that sort of things. But I think really the answer would be no with the contracts.
Okay. Michelle, I'd love to know more about your process and your client base.
Um, I am an oil painter. I work primarily with usually commission-based portraits and figurative work. My patron base is primarily private, one-on-one commissions, and the contracts that go through, as of yet, have been sort of invoice contracts of, payment details, and the product would transfer among once the payment is made. And then in the the final painting, there's a certificate of authenticity that states that, you know, I hold the copyright. It cannot be transferred, that you're only purchasing the actual painting. But I am working right now for this year to draft a commission, and both a commission contract that goes through a little bit more of those details, and a model release. Just because I do work with models and they're recognizable, to make sure that I maintain royalties or rights to those images and the likeness.
Yes, yes, that's very important. And I do have some releases too that I could at least forward you my copy.
Oh, that'd be
And
awesome. Yeah, thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. So this discussion really started a couple years ago during the pandemic. I took that time to sit down with my lawyer and start drafting multiple different contracts, design agreements. My lawyer sat down with me, just looking over my business plan, and decided I need design contracts. Um, and that was not something I was charging for previously. And then we went through, now I have a 7-page contract for commissions, and also for models that I use, release forms, but also giving me the rights to their likeness. I would be happy to share that as well. The other 2 documents I shared with Catherine this morning, and I'm hoping that those can become available to everyone who signed up for the speaker series. Jen DeShantis.
Do you want me to share those on the screen now?
Oh,
Or I can
not
just share them in the email afterwards.
the email afterwards would be
Okay.
really great. Thank you. Thank you. Jen, in your line of work, do you copyright as a landscape architect? Do you have copyrights to your designs? Do you file that annually? Oh, Jenny probably doesn't have audio. That's another thing I just want to kind of touch on as we go through this, retaining our copyright to our own design. And every single time we file our design, it's X amount of dollars. It's under 100. I think it's around $78. If we wait until the end of the year and send in a CD, and it's still a CD, I know that's lame. Um, it's $250 for everything that you've designed over the entire year. So just that little tidbit of information saves me a lot of money over the year and time, instead of sending something out every quarter or whatnot. Just at the end of the year, taxes and your designs, boom, and get copyrights on them. That does kind of lead into a quick story about my journey into the contracts with metal sculpture and working with galleries. Um, I know most galleries that we're going to sign with, they're going to hand us a boilerplate contract and expect us to just sign. There are things like exclusivity. I think we all probably at this point understand exclusivity is no longer justified. There is no tri-state or single state or single town exclusive rights because there's so many online sales. Anyone that's offering that in their contract, we should immediately ask that that be removed. And I've never had a problem internationally with any gallery removing that. Also, I do work personally with galleries, with committees, one-on-one for public installations or large sculpture. And then I also work with patrons one-on-one. So I have about 7 galleries nationally and a couple galleries internationally that I work with. And their contracts usually stipulate, how much work I have to get to them, physically or virtual representation throughout the year. And then um, their contracts with their customers that I also have to pay attention to. I do online sales as well with certain galleries like Saatchi. I know we either hate or we like Saatchi. There's nothing in between. Um, my kind of horror story with them was that I was the first artist they have represented that was actually granted a commission contract. Previously, they would accept commissions from the client with no down payment, and then always had the right, patrons always had the right to return the works. And I guess I am the first artist that they ever represented that said, there is no way I'm doing that. And we spent 9 months with their lawyers drafting a commission contract. And in the end, their lawyer would not remove the clause that I would never recreate a similar sculpture for another client. So I forwent that $30,000 commission.
Wow, yeah, good for you.
Thank you. I feel like because most of us graduated with an art degree or pursued the arts, a lot of these companies are assuming we know nothing about the business side. And especially when it comes to female artists, I feel like there's a stigma that someone else is covering our mortgage. Our art is something that we're doing to fill time. Um, and it's not only completely kind of unfair to put us in that, but also we'll be given contracts because of our gender that no man would ever sign. And I think it's important that we open the communications about that our designs, our art belongs to us. It's just another thing that can't be taken away.
Yes.
So, and female patrons, like I was saying before, also dealing with their own glass ceiling, also dealing with their own hierarchies at work. Someone like me, or possibly like yourselves, who's dealing with mostly female base, we need to also keep our costs low for them. Running a metal studio lab personally is pretty difficult with all those inherent costs that know no gender. So I keep my costs low by buying bulk steel. I do not get most of my designs laser cut like most men in my field, and then unload those nice little pieces off of a pallet. I bring in huge sheets of steel and plasma cut in-house. There are a lot of other things that I do on my side that I'm sure my female counterparts in your own genre, you're doing to keep your costs low. Like I was saying before, communication between our patrons and ourselves is the best way. And that's why design agreements in the past few years have become so incredibly important in my field.